the training on PHP.Maria DB. Now, in today's video, I quickly want to show you how to create strings, variables, and constants in PHP. And as a recap, we're going to be using Dreamweaver integrated development environment. Previously, I showed you guys how to use the environment to configure your development schema such that you can actually tweak between either using Eclipse, Notepad, or this. But for this video, I want to actually focus on Dreamweaver. And so let's get started. Now, if we are creating a new site for this specific chapter, we could either use a new site or manage sites. I quickly want to use the new site to create our platform for development. Now, for the site name, we could just give it SVC, that's strings, variables, and constants. Now, for the local site folder, you see it's relative to this specific string, which is not accurate. So we need to browse to that location and give it a proper folder to capture our development scripts. Okay, so now this is the root folder. We're in htdocs, XAMPP htdocs. Now all we have to do is we just create a new folder. Okay, so we give this SVC, just give it SVC as name. You could actually give it any name you like, but just make sure you are consistent so that you will not have to get your files modeled up. So we're giving this folder SVC, standing for strings, variables, and constants in PHP, of course. So we select the folder. Okay, so there we go. Now the next thing is we head over to the second tab, which is the servers. You click on the plus icon. Of course, here you have basic and advanced. You need to attend to the two tabs separately. For the server name, let's put localhost there. That should be in lowercase. Then in the connect to, we select the local network. Then the server folder, we browse to that same folder which we created earlier in the previous tab, and we select. Okay, now for the web URL, we simply place local hosts /SVC. That should be SVC. Yeah. Okay. Now we head to the advanced tab. Ensure you check this. This is also checked. You leave it as default. Then you go down to the server model and choose PHP.MySQL. Yes, that's it. And that's that for this specific area. You click on save and ensure you click on testing, not the remove, since you're working on your local machine. So the last page we want to see here is the advanced, where we have to specify the images assets, the place where the images will be stored. So right, still in this SVC, you create a new folder and you call it images, or any name you like to identify your folder image. You select it, make sure you are within that specific folder, and you click on select. Yes. Now here, links should be relative to your site root, not documents. This is okay. So we're done. You click on save. Soon after we do that, you see that the left hand pane changes, and we now have the SVC, which is our new web development environment. Okay, let's just close this. So right now we're going to create a new PHP script and call it, give it an appropriate name for the, writing our script. Here, of course, we have options. Ensure you are within the right environment and you select the right option, PHP. Then, of course, for the document type, we have HTML5. As at the time of this writing, that's the highest version of the HTML open source code or script. So we click on create. Yes, this gives us the default template for HTML. Of course, like I said in the previous video, these are tags. This is the opening tag for the HTML, and this is the closing. And then you have the head and the closing for the head. Within the head, you also have the meta that gives some meta options, which we'll be dealing with later. Then, of course, the title. The title gives what is in the header of the browser to identify the specific document, HTML document in question. Okay, so we're going to save this and give it a name. Let's just give it svc, yes, .php. Okay, so we save that. As soon as we save it, you discover that the name changes from untitled to specific svc, so we can actually call up the file on the browser. Now over here, we wouldn't want to leave this untitled the same, so let's just give these strings, variables, and constants. Okay, that is that. So following this, now I want to just quickly show you how to create block comments in PHP and line comments. So the first thing we do is we go to the body, we head to the body tag. Okay, now within this body tag, we're going to place the PHP code, PHP tag. That's the opening for PHP, and this is the closing for PHP. Okay, assuming you want to create a block code, this is how we do it: the / and the star. Okay, as you can see, the whole thing turns into a kind of gray-like color. Now that's because I've not closed the block comment. So to close it, you do the same thing in the opposite direction. Yes, and that's that. We have before us a block comment. So whatever we type here, like this is a simple script for strings, constants, and variables. Now what you have to know about comments in programming is whatever you place on a comment does not affect the execution of the program. That's just a simple way to describe comments. This is a block comment, and specifically PHP uses it. There are other types of structures that other programming languages like Java, Python, name it, React Native, and the likes, they use for their comments. Okay, this is just how the block comment is in PHP. The next one I'm going to describe to you now is the line comment. Okay, but before that, let's just declare a variable, a simple variable called string. Okay, let's say string is equals to, let's give it an assignment. String is equals to these, let's say these are the outputs. Okay, so here we go. Now this is a simple string. This is how to declare a simple string. On the left hand side, you have the string. When you're declaring a variable in PHP, like I said in the previous video, you have to declare starting with the $sign. This $sign shows that this is a variable. Okay, string variable called string. Variables in PHP are not strongly typed. There are some other programming languages that you really need to declare the type, like if it is Boolean or if it is character or this. PHP is weakly typed, has weakly typed variables, so you don't really have to specify the type, okay, in question. We'll be talking more about that in the later videos that we'll be producing. Now these are the outputs. It's just the assignment given to this variable called string. And when you're calling this variable, you need to call it as $string. Okay, now let's move to the next step. Now let's just do some simple declaration in numbers, and these numbers will be, let's say, number one equals to 3. Okay, then you close that at that point. Then let's declare the next variable and call it num2, not boom, it's with num2, which is equals to 5. I will close that. Now we want to do some sort of mathematical permutations with these variables. And how do we go about that? How we simply go about that is we're going to be assigning or making use of these variables and performing some sort of simple mathematical indices with them. And let's see, this is how we do that. Now you declare your variable. Okay, let's say the next variable, let's give the next variable as 3, and let's do a multiplication here, and the multiplication should go this way. Num, now we have num, because why the num is showing as an option is simply because it's now a variable that the compiler recognizes. You've declared it and it recognizes it. Okay, now if I were to make this a comment, all I have to do is place this here. This is a line comment. Now this is a very typical example of a line comment. Previously I showed you this is a block comment. This is an example of a line comment. So as I've indicated this as a comment, the compiler ignores it during execution. It doesn't see it as an active variable. Okay, so that's the difference between placing information within a string, within a block comment, a comment area, or an uncommented area. I believe you understand that. So here we've removed the double / and it makes it active again as a variable that the compiler recognizes. Okay, so now back to this. We're just going to do some multiplication here. When you're multiplying in programming, you use star. Some of you who already know about these things should be very familiar with that. Even in most computers, a star represents multiplication. If you're using the multiplication sign, use the star. Okay, so we've declared this. Now the second thing we want to declare now is we want to demonstrate the ability of the program, let's call this, to also minus or subtract. Okay, so we're going to call this 4. This is number 4, and but the sign changes here because we want it to do some minus permutation. Okay, but using the same number 1 and 2 variables. Now the next thing I want us to do now is we use division, and this should be 5. So we're having 5 variables with just 2 variables doing the permutation. Okay, here it's going to be division. This is how you do your division in PHP. Okay, now what we want to do next is I want to declare the outputs. And how do we do that? Say echo, of course, as some of you already know, is for output in PHP. If you want to output a statement, you place it within the echo region and ensure you terminate your statements now with a semicolon. Semicolon always closes statements in PHP. Okay, now I want you to echo out each of these variables, and the first one I want you to echo out is string. Okay, and that is this string here, echo string. Right, okay, let's just place this on a single line, echo string. Okay, now you're echoing string, and then we are also putting we can place this BR. BR is actually used as a breakpoint, so that the next line will be outputted in another line, so all of them will not be clumped up together. That's what BR does. BR, just take note of that. Now the next thing I wanted to echo out is the number 3, and that will be this specific code line here. I'm just going to replace the string with that just to save our time of typing. Okay, now the very next thing I wanted to do is to output the next permutation, which is of course the minus. So here we have minus. We come here and we just bring the execution line. Yeah, this is it. This is minus. This first one here is multiplication. This is minus, and the very last one is division. So we're gonna save time again. We're gonna just copy this and paste, and then take this specific line again and replace it, because our target is that we want to simply take these things in sequence, in their right sequence, such that they will each output the contents that we want in a very clear and explicit manner. Okay, so this is it. We've done this. Now we are echoing. Our target is that we want to echo out this string. These are the outputs. Okay, let's say this, just put this for fancy purpose. These are the outputs of what? That's number 3, which is number 1 multiplied by number 2. Okay, the variable number 4 is equals to number 1 minus number 2. Okay, so now number 5 is another variable that gives the value of the same, another permutation, but this time around division of the same numbers that we're dealing with, number 1 and number 2. Number 1 and number 2 are the primary demos, the primary variables or constants we're trying to use here. Okay, now there's something you need to know about variables. Variables are, if you want to just describe variables as types of constants that change. That's where I tell people I teach programming. If you want to differentiate between a constant and a variable, a constant is a type of variable that does not change, and a variable is a type of constant that change. You see, so they just interconnected like that. Just we'll be talking more about that as time goes on. Okay, here is variables and constants. So let's save. Ensure you save. Control S, of course, saves, and let's try and run this on the browser, on one of our browsers in real time, and see the output. Let's choose Mozilla for this specific case. Okay, and see the outputs on the screen. To the browser and refer to this script as localhost svc, that's /svc and /svc.php. Right then. Okay, so here we have the outputs. These are the outputs. You have 15 as the product of 3 and 5. Then as a subtraction, the subtraction of 5 from 3 gives you -2. Then the division of 3 by 5 gives us 0.6. So these are the simple results of what we're calling. Now, if you take a look at this, we're calling this script straight from the web host or local host. But in the other case here, this is Dreamweaver's internal server handling the script, of course, giving us the same output as you're seeing from the other side of the other screen. Now, the last thing I want to just quickly demonstrate to you guys is beneath this code, you can actually, this block of codes that we have written all the way from here down here, you can actually add up something like calling PHP info. Okay, PHP info, yes, PHP info script. and of course you put your semicolon to end it. Now all this is just going to do is that it's just going to call up actively call up PHP info script within our execution script here. Okay, this is it. So like I demonstrated earlier during the introductory part, where you can actually run PHP info to see that you can see that this specific code, that function here, this is a function, this is a PHP function, the function that calls up the PHP version on your system. Okay, so we're just using it to complement the execution script, the script execution at the top. These are the outputs. These outputs are the outputs of the permutations of number 1 and 2. You can see number 1 is 3 and then number 2 is 5, and it's doing multiplication and it's doing subtraction as well as doing division. So this is just a simple way of actually knowing how to use strings, variables, and constants.